I'm gonna go on record right now and say Regulate, as far as gymnastics ability goes, best band in the world when it comes to acrobatics, aerial feats. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're not like other bands.
Hey, Charlie! Hey, you want to play some hockey?
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is another episode of the Scoped Exposure podcast. Very excited to be joined by a vocalist who's just packed full of passion. We got Seb from Regulate on the show. Thanks
What's
for
up?
coming on the
Thanks for
podcast,
having
my
me,
guy.
man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Regulate for me has always been a band that I've known of and seen like some live videos and listened to recordings. And then I think the two, I always like to give a little bit of context about like what sparked the interest to bring on a certain person onto the show. And I think it was when you did, I guess you've been on Angel and Z, I think is the podcast name, twice now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're like kind of a reoccurring guest on that show, but just off of like the snippet that they shared, I was like, okay, like, I think passion in hardcore is one of those infectious things. Like if someone is like really speaking it from the heart and not from a performative sense, you just get latched onto that. So that was like the initial thing. And then obviously you guys playing a badass show out in California was like, all right, like let's get the inquiry out and see if we can hook it up. And here we are.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you asked, man. I always see you popping up on my Instagram story and shit. I've seen a couple of my friends been interviewed by you. So honestly, I've been waiting, dude. I've been looking forward to coming out here.
Waiting. Well, I'm glad that I can come collect to deliver on that. But
For
Seb, before we get into the music chats, tradition here is to check a bev before we get going. So tell the people at home what you're going to be sipping on your end.
Okay, so when you told me you do this, I was thinking like I can't. My mind originally went to just getting a yerba mate and guyaki. You know what I mean? Because
Sure.
after water, that's what I drink more so than anything else, right?
Gotcha.
But I feel like that's a little too mainstream right now. Super hip, drinking yerba mate. So instead, I went to this Colombian Bakery by my house, and I got a colombiana, which is a very, very popular drink in Colombia, which is where I'm from.
Cool.
Popular drink in all of Latin America, I think. It's delicious. Anyone who I've put onto it who didn't drink it growing up has said it tastes like cough syrup. And I don't know if I disagree. You know what I mean? But it's delicious cough syrup at that. And I'm happy to present it to you all today.
Yeah, I'm like I usually include a little bit of the preamble beforehand, but when you like quickly were confirming the bev that you were ready to check, I was like, okay, never seen that can before. And I think there's always like a little bit of a weird disconnect between stuff that you can get in the States versus up here in Canada. So
yeah,
definitely never seen that before. I don't know if it's coffee. Oh, who's the doggo?
This is Bruno, my really large German Shepherd.
Oh, I see. He's just like he wants to join in on the podcast.
He's just trying to hang out. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh shit. Okay.
Let me say what's up. How old is Bruno?
He's 2 years old. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
He's 2, and he's not aware of the volume and space that he takes up.
I totally understand. I have a 3-year-old border collie Aussie cross, and sometimes he is just up in my face. So I totally.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure. I feel like Bruno wants to leave the room. So You know what? I'm gonna open the door for him. There you go.
We'll go a little remote for a bit.
All right. Oh shit.
No.
Should I take a sip of this now? Is that what we do?
Well, I'll premiere mine. We will cheers, and then we'll get into that. So I'm not sure how familiar with the bev lore of this podcast, but we got a couple Bev sponsors here on the show. So
Oh,
I'm always
okay.
gonna, this is my go-to non-alcoholic Bev to check, which is a New Level craft soda. So it's the flavors of mocktail mule kicker. So imagine if you're
Kicker.
having like a Moscow mule, but just like in a soda form. So and non-alcoholic. So it's my go-to, and the New Level Brewery, which is based here in Calgary, has been like, nothing but, delightful as far as like making sure we're stocked when it comes to bevs. So
Very nice.
mad
Very
shout out
nice.
to them. Shout out to you. Stoked to be doing this
Cheers.
podcast. Cheers to you.
Cheers. Damn, that shit is good.
Well, when you were just
Definitely tastes like medicine. Definitely tastes like medicine.
so like, you're saying it's cough drop flavored. Is it like like how intense is it? Is it like into the Buckley's
Honestly,
realm where it's like it really hits you hard, or is it a little bit more diluted?
You know what it is? I'm not sure. Like on here, it just says cola flavored soda, which I don't know what that means. That's like saying water flavored H2O.
Sure.
It's just using the same word.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Cola, pop, soda,
But
all the same.
it's kind of like your standard, like, I guess, like cherry flavored cough syrup.
Gotcha.
I guess it's akin to that, but it's not that strong. Otherwise, millions of people would be drinking it every day. But it's good. It's good. If we're ever up in Calgary, I'll bring you a can.
Absolutely, I would love that. And you said you got it at the it's like a Colombian bakery.
Colombian Bakery right by my house. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, so, some places, when it comes to bakeries, have like a couple of those things. They'll have like a secret fridge with a couple of things like stored in there, and some it's like, oh, it needs to be like, depending on the type of bakery you go, like they'll just have like Dasani water bottles or something super super trendy that you would find on like Pinterest or something. So
none of that.
Yeah,
none of that. Strictly Colombian colas.
Love that.
At La Picosa Bakery.
Shout out to
my
them.
other dog wants to leave the room right now, so I want to
multiple
let
dogs.
my other dog leave. Yeah, you want to? All right, come here. Nope, Bruno's trying to get back in. Come here. Oh shit! All right, hang on. Give me a sec.
4-7.
Come on, bro. All right, hang on.
All right, here. Here's the other one. Look, right here.
Aww.
All right. Fucking dogs, man. They're making me.
Yeah.
All right, go. Get out of here.
There you go.
The thing is that they're dogs. They don't understand.
No, they don't understand
is.
podcasting or etiquette. Or
they don't know. They don't know anything, dude.
Yeah.
They don't know shit.
Yeah, I feel like it would almost be full circle if by the end of this episode my dog is scratching at the door, like somehow magically opens it on his own, and then it would be like,
I hope so.
The scales are balanced on that regard. Well, yeah, Seb, I'm really excited to be chatting with you. Any new guests that I bring on the show, I always like to get a little bit of context about how they got into, the hardcore space and things like that. I know we were chatting previous to this, and you're like, I've done the whole like origin story so many times. So if you just want to give like the super condensed version of like,
of course,
the major moments that you feel like are most notable for your origin, if that makes sense.
So I can remember a specific moment. I remember watching Much Music, which was what is Fuse now.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Much Music before, I think. And I remember seeing a video for a brand new song, and I had never heard anything like it in my life. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then my family got a computer like a year ago or something like that, maybe a little more than that. iTunes was on the computer. So I was thinking of this brand new song. I didn't remember the name of the song. All I remember is that the word there was a word that started with the letter G, and it was like G-O or G-U, and I was like, fuck, what was that? I don't even know the band's name.
Sure.
I was just looking for G something, right? And through my you could look through for music through like genres and stuff. So I guess I was looking in maybe like rock or like punk rock or alternative music, whatever. And so I'm doing G-U, G this, and Gorilla Biscuits comes up, and I'm like, that's such a dumb, weird name. So I looked it up, and it was back when iTunes used to play like a 30-second or 15-second preview of a song.
And
So
then
I
you would
put
have
it
to buy
on.
it for 99 cents or whatever.
Yeah. And then I heard the trumpets, and then the song started playing, and I was like, what the fuck is that? That's crazy. And I'm like a straight up like kid. You know what I mean? Like a child at this point. I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. So I kind of sat on that for a little bit. Like a few months went by. And then my cousin shows me YouTube. She showed me that shoes video from in like 2005, 2006. I don't know if you remember that, but it's a really old YouTube video. And I'm like, wow, YouTube is crazy. And I'm like, whoa.
Wait, the shoes music video?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go check that out.
It was just some like weird, like you just look up shoes on YouTube, it'll come up.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, so
maybe I'll superimpose it here in the podcast.
Yes.
If
someone will know. Someone will know. So I'm discovering YouTube and I'm super psyched on it. I'm like, wow, this has everything. And then I remember like, oh wow, remember that band Gorilla Biscuits I had listened to? Let me look that up. And then there was just videos, like live videos of the Gorilla Biscuits and like other bands and just like other New York hardcore bands and like clips of the New York hardcore doc and stuff like that. And that's pretty much what got me into hardcore. Eventually down the line, I was just straight up like internet hardcore, like middle school, you know what I mean? Like finding out about bands through that. And then I found out about Backtrack and Incendiary, who are from where I'm from on Long Island. And I was like, holy shit, this shit is still happening now and where I live. That's crazy. I should go see this happen, you know, in front of me. So I went to a show one day and now I'm on your podcast right now.
Yeah, big gaps of time. But what I like about some of those things that you mentioned is that I feel like when you're that young and you're finding all these like very very interesting things in the hardcore punk or heavy music world, if you just want to like umbrella term it, like it is such like a discovery, like choose your own adventure kind of shit. Like you find something and then that connects to the next thing and you feel like you're in control and you're like essentially just discovering all these different things. But like you were saying, there's no like one not everyone is on the same path for that. For you, it was just like I heard this crazy song on Much Music. I knew that it started with a G. I don't know if it was even the Gorilla Biscuits when you were searching it up on iTunes years later, but it was just funny how everyone has their own little I guess origin, you know, largely through some similarities, but you know, there are specific key things that kind of stand out. So I just love that you remembered it was like GO or GU, and then like, you know, that put you onto the Gorilla Biscuits ultimately.
And what's crazy is that, I mean, I love Brand New now. And Brand New is also from Long Island, like literally the town over from where I'm at right now. So yeah, it was meant to be that I found out about the Gorilla Biscuits through Brand New somehow, in some weird indirect way.
Yeah, and at the same time, like being able to know of a band and, you know, listen to the music is one thing, but then going on YouTube and seeing, like, that was the same thing for me. Like, you know, Hey 5 6 is obviously like the thing that I always accredit a lot of the I guess inspiration for the channel, because originally we started as just like filming live bands and doing drum cams, and then this podcast evolved years later. But like that was a thing for me when I was into high school and into my like first couple of years into my 20s, where I was like just watching live videos of Power Trip and Turnstile and just like seeing these bands and seeing the reaction to those bands as almost like a not a permission slip per se, but it's like, oh, when you see Turnstile, you can act this way. And when you see this crazy beatdown band, you can act this way. So yeah, I think video and hardcore are like really married with one another as far as like putting people on, but also educating of like how to conduct yourself almost at a show.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest aspect of hardcore to me is the live show, the live performance, shows in general. And obviously you can't be everywhere. You can't be at every show. So, you know, seeing a video of something and not being there, but like imagining that you're there, wishing you were there, hoping to be there next time, can do a lot for somebody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's pretty funny because I'm sure some of the videos that you're watching of Gorilla Biscuits weren't like the super like doctored up HD stuff that like Sonny or anyone would be doing. But it's almost like a weird thing when you're playing like, you know, GoldenEye on N64, and you're like, these graphics are insane. It's like the
Yes.
graphics, you know?
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So, Regulate, like I was mentioning, like heard you on a couple podcasts. I was like, okay, like Seb has a lot of passion that, I hope that we can dive into some of those things. But I know as far as like Regulate as a band, you guys, was that California show you guys just recently played, like you just locking the door because of the dogs? But yeah, was that California show that you guys just recently played like the first official Regulate show back, or were there a couple things that
Uh,
happened more on your guys' end of neck of the
that's
woods?
that's that's the first show for us. For sure. The last one we played was mid-March 2020 in New Zealand.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's the first show back. We had a bunch of shit coming up. It was a really good way to come back. I
Yeah.
mean, I would have loved for the first show to be in New York or the Jersey Shore, but we've played California a bunch, and Dead Heat. We're like, you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
brother bands. So it was cool to be able to celebrate the record coming out,
Mhm.
and also nice to go to California for any reason ever.
100%.
So
It's
yeah,
pretty crazy how just like, interviewing a lot of people in the midst of the pandemic, like what they, I asked a couple of people what their perfect first show back was, and a lot of it would be very easy to say like, oh yeah, like if we drove to this place and played this crazy show, but at the time a lot of people were like, I just want to play like a cool local show with all my friends in the same place. But you guys like literally went to the other side of the country to play your first show back,
do
which
what you got to do. You know what I mean?
yeah. And that was Dead Heat essentially reaching out to you guys like to come
Yeah,
through.
my friend Jay Nut, who plays guitar in Dead Heat, and I don't know, probably like April, he was like, yo, we want you to play the record release. I was like, we're down. He's like, you're not down. I'm like, we're down. He's like, okay. And that's it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, and like yeah, like what was going through your head off of like, that kind of first official experience live? Listening to some of your past podcasts, you were talking about like you guys are working on stuff, but you didn't want to start like the plan of rolling things out until you could play those new songs live. And I know
Yeah.
that when I watched that set on 197, it was like, oh yeah, this is like a newer song that is unreleased, and the crowd is responding a different way. So again, like what was going through your head off of like, I'm in not my local scene, but like a place that I feel comfortable and at home, and I can have the first official show back? What was going through your head?
Dude, honestly, when we play, there's not really much going through my head. I kind of like, I'm not gonna say I black out because I'm cognizant of what's going on, but I'm just not thinking about anything really.
Mm-hmm.
I knew we were playing 2 new songs. I knew one of them, the chorus is all clean vocals. So I was like, man, I really hope I don't sound like shit right now. But based off the video, I sounded okay. The whole band sounded good during those new songs. It kind of so okay. Right before we played, The Fight played. Our friends from over here, they flew out for the show to play. And I'm watching their set, and they had a great set, great reaction. Also, their first show back, I'm pretty sure. So they were buzzing too. And I'm watching it, and I'm just like, this is also the first show I've been to. Like I haven't been to any other shows otherwise. A couple of the guys in the Fight and Regulate have. Some of us haven't, but yeah, it's my first show since March of last year. So I'm watching the Fight. I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching a hardcore band right now. This is crazy. And the fight ended. I go to my man Kyle, who sings, and I'm like, dude, that was the best way to get me like ready for this Regulate set. And Harry, who plays drums in Regulate, he's standing next to me. We look at each other, and we're just like, dude, let's just fucking do it. And we start pushing each other and shit because we're like, dude, I don't like. Okay, I've had butterflies thinking about that show for 2 or 3 months before we played because like I couldn't believe I was gonna be able to play a show again. It's my favorite thing in this life to do. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that touches that for me. You know what I mean? Like not even close, to be honest with you. Maybe if the Islanders won a Stanley Cup, that would probably be a little better. But playing the show is like, that's it for me. You know what I mean? So I would be just driving, thinking about playing a Dead Heat show in 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, a week, the next day, and just get butterflies in my stomach. Like it's insane. So during the set, I'm just like, I just got to do what I got to do. It's not till afterwards that I kind of find a corner, or I'll like leave the venue and just try to like I just got to be away from people, and that's when I'm like, wow, he fucking did that shit, man.
Yeah,
It's just
totally.
it's like an unreal feeling, man. Like it's crazy. And then I watched Dead Heat play after us, so like the adrenaline was still there. Like it was all just everything was just lining up perfectly. The build up, watching the opening bands, being able to watch the fight, playing our show, being able to chill for a sec, or playing our set, being able to chill for a second, and then watch Dead Heat.
Mm-hmm.
I literally closed the venue. That venue is not doing shows anymore. Apparently the owners walked in their Dead Heat set, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't know that this was happening like this. No more."
Yeah.
So we shut that bitch down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, dude. I mean, it's awesome. I can't. Our next show is our next show is Saturday. I can't wait to play that one too.
Yeah. Who's that with?
That one's gonna be.
It might have already happened by the time this comes out, but.
So the next show, as of when we're recording this right now, is Saturday, July 24th, and it's with Section Hate.
Right. Yeah, I have seen this poster.
Yeah. Dead City, Nate No Face, Barrage, Hangman. I might be forgetting one of the band, but it's so those guys have been doing those crazy shows out in California. Shit that looks like some Mad Max, like dystopian, apocalyptic type shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming to New York. They want to do some dystopian, apocalyptic type shit out here. I know where they want to do it. I'm not going to say anything about it. The show will have happened by now, but sure. I'm not going to say what's going to happen. But
you don't want to jinx it.
I don't want to jinx it because the chances of it going on without any issues are so incredibly slim. But I mean, we're going to show up, and we're hopefully going to be able to play our set. Hopefully everybody's going to be able to play their set. And I will say that it is at or on a major structure, and it is definitely in New York City. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but if it does happen, it'll be one of the most historic music events.
Playing on the Statue of Liberty or something? Like, what's going on?
I'm not even lying to you. It's not that far off.
Oh my God. Okay.
I swear to God, if it does go on without a hitch, even if one band plays one song, it's gonna be one of the craziest things that's ever happened. And I mean this, like, no hyperbole, like in music in general. Like okay. I swear to God, dude, it's gonna be crazy. Yeah, that's the next show, and then we got a weekend in August with Dead Heat and Mind Force. I'm very excited about, and then some other shit coming down the line.
Yeah. Let's go back a little bit, because you were just talking about, like, again, like watching the fight play and like almost having that be the primer for your guys' set, first show back post pandemic, and first show that you're personally attending. So, and like you were saying, like it's not that you're not conscious while you're performing, but it is like something that takes over you and is something that is like super fulfilling. So I think that a lot of like great hardcore vocalists like play with that passion as like their fuel, but at the same time, like I just feel like there's just like a level of intensity that you bring that a lot of people that I haven't seen. Like there's like passion, but there's also like style, and just like I'm gonna front flip onto all these unexpected individuals. So like how much of that is like you actually getting a lay of the land once you're at the show, when you're like, okay, if I do front flip in this area, like it's not a huge issue, versus this side has like some weird speakers? Or is there sometimes, or is it like a no issues, are like everything is fair game ultimately when it comes to that?
That's a good question. It's a very good question. There are some logistics involved when it comes to my aerial maneuvers. You know what I mean? There has to be, like you said, there's speakers. Sometimes the stage at a weird angle. Sometimes one corner of the stage is a little less populated than the other one. You know what I mean? So you got to figure that out. But I don't know, man. Like I did a backflip at the Dead Heat show. That was something that I taught myself how to do it during the pandemic, like during the quarantine, I should say.
Sure.
just because I've been watching a lot of Bad Brains videos on YouTube. Shout out to YouTube. And there's
YouTube
a
teaching
couple
you
of
about the
videos.
bad brains and
It's the best
backflips.
website of all time. It's the best site of all time. So there's a bunch of videos of HR doing a backflip and landing in the same spot and landing at the end of a song or ending on like a big snare hit or something. And I was like, man, I gotta learn how to do a backflip. So I did it. And then during the Dead Heat show, I wasn't really like thinking of doing it because well, first of all, I don't know if you can tell from the video, but the stage is very small.
It's very petite. It's very small.
Very petite, very slim, trim stage. Very wet, just soaked in beer and sweat and water and other fluids. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna do it or not. I mean, I don't have to, whatever. And then I did it because I felt like, you know what, I want to do it. So I just did it, and it went well. Thank God. Otherwise, I might be in a fucking hospital. But yeah. I mean, I guess if I'm like jumping off stage or jumping off somebody or jumping off a thing, I'm like, let me assess this real quick. Let me take 1 second. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's just, I mean, I don't know how to say it to you, bro. I got a lot of swag. I'm swagged out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got style. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just do. I mean, I'm not doing anything different than what the people in front of me in the crowd are doing, reacting to the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I'm watching a band that I love, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just reacting to music, and I'm playing music that I was a part of and that I also love. And I'm just reacting. The only difference is that I have a microphone and that I'm a part of the music, of the performance.
Yeah, I think it was in your guys's "This Is Hardcore" set, just in the during the first song. Like, it's almost like you're like Regulate's own like hype man at times. Like, you're just like trying to like amp up like the band before you actually like pick up the mic. You're like, oh, I'm also in this band. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm enjoying it, man. I have the time of my life when we play. You know what I mean? Like I said, just like everybody else in front of me, people hanging out on the stage potatoes on the side, I mean, that goes for all 5 of us too. The only difference is that I have a little bit more mobility since I'm not holding a guitar or behind a drum set. So I really take advantage of the opportunities I have with my body.
Yes, yeah, and that if that's not just appreciated by me, I'm sure it's appreciated by many. But yeah, like you were saying, like sometimes like it's that looking and taking in that bit of information and assessing the risk level of like doing that, but then like it's a millisecond and then you're like off and doing it already. Because any like live video that I've seen of you guys, it's like a giant propeller blade like spinning out of control when you jump off stage at times. Like, I
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I guess that's a compliment.
100%.
When you were
I'll tell you, one person who doesn't do any risk management or assessment is my friend Body, who plays guitar and Regulate, guy with all the long hair.
Okay.
He does a lot of dumb shit, and he's definitely gotten hurt a few times, but more so than not, he comes out unscathed, and there's just no assessment of anything. He just kind of does it. My friend Corey from Florida as well, top 5 living stage divers, no risk assessment. But for me, I like to keep most of my bones intact, so I'll take a second before I propel myself.
100%. Yeah, and I think that there's definitely certain like, mosh mutants that are just like they'll just see red when a certain riff or breakdown will kick in, and there's like no like thoughts about like breaking hands. It's just about like spinning and try to be as crazy as possible.
Correct.
Do you have any other people that in the hardcore space who are backflippers that you would like to shout out, or that you're inspired by their backflip skills as well?
Again, my boy Body plays guitar and Regulate. I was chilling with him in the Jersey Shore a lot last summer, and I think he had kind of already known to do a backflip, and then I was like, try this, and then he got it, and then we were just going to the beach doing backflips and stuff. Whenever we're together, I'm like, all right, you got to hit one right now so to keep it fresh. So besides him, I can't think of any other hardcore backflippers. I'm gonna go on record right now and say Regulate, as far as gymnastics ability goes, best band in the world when it comes to acrobatics, aerial feats. You know what I mean? We're not like other bands.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's almost needed now to have a Regulate shirt that says acrobatic hardcore or something like that.
Damn, honestly, you may have just done something right there, bro. You really might regulate gymnastics team.
Yes, please. Yeah, and do it in the
Wow.
yeah, dude, that would be crazy. Yeah, I just had flashbacks when I was having a Niam from Zulu on it, and his infamous thing is like he doesn't swear. So he wanted to I suggested making a shirt that said like flippin' heck or something on it and say Zulu, and he's like, you know what, it's not a bad idea. So I'm waiting for the first like stupid merch idea that I throw here on the podcast to actually manifest into something. So
One of them will come to fruition one
yes.
day.
The only other one that comes to mind for me is I think Franz from Turnstile has
Oh
backflipped
yeah.
in his
No,
day.
how could I forget?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's I'm pretty sure. I don't think he's on a backflip at the base, but there's like some pretty crazy pictures of him like diving over barriers with his base doing a front flip.
Yes.
There's a picture of him doing a backflip on stage for sure. I haven't seen it with my own eyes, unfortunately, but yeah, Franz is also another flipper as well.
Yeah, and being able to do that with an instrument, whether even unsuccessful or not, is in a league of its own, I would say.
Ups, yes, absolutely.
Dude. Yeah, so I know we've hit on the passion about like you playing and like what that does is like a it's like a new level of like natural ecstasy for you, where it's just like, if there's your life drug or whatever, it's like playing shows and being able to have that sense of like ultimately power, when you're just like being able to command a room, like where a certain part kicks in, or just being able to just like go off. Like for you being able to put in that like 100%, you were mentioning on one of the other podcasts I was listening, like it's very easy to do that at like the Dead Heat like record release show and everyone's like first show back and things like that. But like even going back a couple years before the pandemic, any band of any level has played, to a room of like 15, 20 kids. So how do you like mentally like prep yourself to put in that same level of energy, even if the show is shot?
So in 2016, Regular did its first U.S. tour, full U.S. tour with Blind Justice, and we played 3 shows in Texas. The first one was in Houston. It was great. 100 some kids, maybe 200 kids showed up. Everybody had a great set. It was awesome. The next shows are, I think, Dallas and San Antonio, where Dallas and Fort Worth. Dallas and Fort Worth might be the same thing. I don't know. We did 2 other shows in Texas, right?
Sure.
And both of them were really, really poorly attended. The second one, even more so poorly attended than the first. And up until that point on the tour, every show had been great. Like every show had been great. Like I said, it was our first US tour. So I was like, wow, we're fucking killing it. Like every show like has been good. Why wouldn't all of them be good? And it's just not how it worked out when we got to Texas, right? So I distinctly remember, sitting in the van at the third of the 3 Texas shows, and I had just walked out of the venue very dejected after watching the first band, because there was for real maybe 5 people in there, and they were also playing the show. It was like the other band that wasn't the first band or Regulating Blind Justice. And then there was one dude in a Title V hoodie and one girl in there, I forget what she was wearing, but she came up to me at the end of the show. She's like, hey, I'm sorry this show sucks. Everyone's like in California for Sound and Fury a couple of days earlier, else it would have been here. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense, but whatever. I'm sitting in the van and I'm in this big group chat with like dudes from like King 9 and just like my older friends from Long Island. And I'm saying like, damn, this show fucking sucks, dude. This sucks. I don't want to be here. And they're like, yo, you know how many shows Backtrack has played to nobody, or to like people who just could not care any less? You know what I mean? And like they put in perspective, like I needed to be humbled a little bit because I had been I had been spoiled up until that point on the tour, you know what I mean? So I needed a couple of really awful shows to, kind of kick me in the ass and be like, dude, you're in a band. and you're fucking playing 1,000 miles from home, just be happy you're playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're in a band with your friends. Some of the shows coming up are going to be really bad. Some of them are going to be really good. Just enjoy what you're doing right now. And I needed to hear that from guys that had done it 1,000 times with other bands, all not even just in America, all over the world, because it can happen anywhere. At any time, you can play a shot ass show. You know what I mean? And since then, like any show that I've walked into and been like, oh, this might be a rough one. Right before we play, even if I'm like, damn, I don't want to do this, because I really do feed off of the crowd and the people that are there. And I had to get to a point where I cared less about how many people were there and how the people there were doing and how they were enjoying themselves. You know what I mean? Because we played a show up in Sacramento. There was maybe like 20 kids, and I promise you, each and every one of those kids was moshing through the entire Regulate and Blind Justice sets, and they had a time of their lives. And when we were playing and when I was watching Blind Justice, you couldn't tell me any difference between those 20 kids and 2,000. You know what I mean? It's the same. So any show I walk into, I'm like, oh, this might be a rough one. Right before we play, I look at the other guys and we're all just kind of laughing about it and be like, let's just fucking do it, man. I remember we were in Adelaide in Australia, very, very far away from home. And the show wasn't very well attended. It was like a weeknight, and apparently there was some big like arena football or Australian rules football league. Some Australian shit was going on.
Yeah, some
people didn't care about the show.
Sporting event.
Yeah. And I forget what we did. We did odds with this band Broken, who we were on tour with. Shout out to my boys from Broken. And the loser had to play in their underwear. And so Crust was also on that tour. And I'm pretty sure, and Crust is just Regulate, but with different singers.
Okay.
So everyone that was in Regulate was playing in Crust, and they had gotten in their underwear for the Regulate set too. And I was like, but dude, we're in fucking Australia. You know what I mean? And these 15 kids are about to lose their minds for the next 30 minutes. So let's just fucking kill it. And I was like, I said it on the mic too, because like, there's something about playing a show where there's not that many people where I feel more comfortable talking, because it's like less people hearing the dumb shit I have to say. You know what I mean? So I was on the mic and I was like, yo, like, I know there's not a lot of you here, but there's some of you here. And honestly, that's good enough for us. And let's have a fucking good time. And everyone had a great time.
I love
you know what
that.
I mean?
Yeah. And I think
so, like I said, you can't tell me the difference between 10 and 10,000 kids sometimes if the energy in the room is palpable and you can feel it. You know what I mean? And that comes back to the thing we first talked about. Hardcore is about the live show, no matter how many people are in that room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love how you said like not how many people are there, like how are they doing? You know, everyone's like, yo, what are you up to? And like not really focusing on like the like how you doing, and like, you know, almost like seeing as like not like your responsibility, but like as the band coming to town, like you are kind of quote unquote entertaining for, you know, the, you know, people that are there, whether that's 5 people, 50 people, or 500 people. So, you know, like obviously there is like a give and take when the crowd's going crazy, that like helps fuel you guys, and like, you know, the energy becomes like this cyclone. And yeah, like some bands like I see kill it to like literally like, you know, just statues that are just sitting and standing like this, and they'll still put in like 100%. But you know, I really like that idea of kind of not really being self-aware, but just being like, yo, this isn't the craziest thing, but we're gonna have a crazy ass time, so let's go. And just like, you know, I really love that,
dude. There's the fact that someone in Australia knows my band, has heard my music that I made with my friends, like it blows my mind. I could not in a million years believe that would be something that I would be experiencing when I first got into hardcore, or when I first was like, I want to be in a band, when we first started this band. You know what I mean? That fact that we were even asked to play in Australia or even outside of New York, it for real, like it blows me away sometimes that like that's a thing. Cause like when I first got into it, to hardcore, I mean, even before I had the idea of starting a band, I was like, man, I hope one day I can be in the band. I hope one day I have enough friends in hardcore to start a band and we like get to play a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got to play fucking Australia, bro, last year, and that blows my mind. So when you pull up to those shot ass shows, like there's one kid there who has been listening to Regulate for God knows how long, and they cannot wait to see Regulate right now. And who am I to not give it 1 billion% for that kid and any other kid at the show
Right.
who's been dying to see this band or the other band or whoever? You know what I mean? Like that's like you said, like we are entertaining them, but like I think when it comes to hardcore, where it's so much more of like a grassroots type of thing, where it's so much more of a personal thing, like to me, hardcore is so much deeper than any other music out there. Of course, I'm biased because that's my life, that's what
Sure.
I do.
Yeah.
But I think we can just agree like there's something more to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
100%.
it goes where we are entertaining, but there's a little bit more to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's more. So like I would never be able to not give it everything I have on stage, not only for them, but for me too, because I'm trying to have a good time too.
Yeah.
What do I gain for just moping on stage and be like, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like
No,
I'm there, I
nothing
might
is
as well go off.
worse. Nothing is worse than a band coming to town and being all like, almost like they're, like almost having a commentary about how shitty the show is. You know, like, oh,
Yeah, bro. Like
is that all
oh
you
man.
got, or this
No,
like,
no, 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 no.
that
That's
energy is
that's some
not
that's
welcome.
some old guy shit, or some like you're fucking on your like third band in 5 different genres and you're trying to like make it big and you're like, oh come on, move up. What are you doing? It's like, just shut up. No one likes your band because no one likes your band, bro. It's not their fault.
Mhm.
Maybe be a better band. Like, oh, the show sucks. Well, get over it. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not fucking Led Zeppelin. Not every show is gonna be fucking Wembley Stadium. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And how you were saying about just the entertaining. Yeah, like I don't go to a hardcore show to be entertained, Like it's almost like a byproduct. It's like I'm going there in a sense of like it's almost like second nature. Like there's so many layers to this onion where there's like the supporting your local scene, supporting your friends' band, either playing the band, having if it's like an all ages space and just like supporting that. So it's almost like for me it's become like not like an obligation, but like obviously I'm going to go to the show if there's a show happening. But yeah, it's less about like, oh, is this band going to entertain me? And it's like just stoked that my friends or even just people that I don't know within the hardcore community are getting to do their art in a live setting, and we get to all like partake in that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like to me, I mean, hardcore is like, as contrived as it is, like hardcore is a big community, and the shows are like the gatherings that we have within the community.
Yeah.
You see people, you kick it, you catch up, then the band plays, you know what I mean? You catch up for 5-10 more minutes, another band plays. And that's just like a part of the whole community aspect of it. It's like, that's our watering hole. It's where we meet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, so so being able to, have that experience out in California and now like having a couple other things coming down the pipe, Regulate, I've been reusing the term sleeping dragon that I've heard on Extra Grind a couple times, just as far as bands who have like not had something out in the last couple of years, and it's like, post pandemic, it almost makes sense to come out with something banging. So I know it sounds like you guys are working on some new music and things like that. So I don't know if maybe now is the time that you can share anything that fans of the band can kind of expect, or what's in the chamber right now.
So we're doing an LP. It's probably going to be around 9, 10, 11 songs, something like that. It's not gonna be on Edgewood Records, who we put our last 2 records out with. Those are still the boys. Obviously, they're still doing a lot of big shit, but we're gonna be doing it with a different label. Cool. That'll be announced whenever it's announced. We have the dates locked in for when we're recording, sometime in September. We're trying to, bang it out, give it the time it deserves, but we're trying to bang it out because pandemic fucked up all like the record plants and stuff like that. So things are taking a while to get pressed. But yeah, The dates are locked in. We're recording in September. It's going to be an LP. It's going to be on a different label that we have not released anything through. And it's going to be an incredible record. And yeah, it's going to fuck with a lot of people's heads, I think. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and those two songs that you were mentioning that you played at that live show, like I was really intrigued by that one song that had that clean singing that you were mentioning. Do you think there's might be a little bit more of that? It's not like that's the first time that you guys have done that, because I think on the last record there was some other clean singing, and like it seems like you guys like to play around in some of the call it subgenres of the hardcore space.
Yeah, so that song, the whole chorus is clean vocals, and then there's going to be at least one more with clean vocals on it. And yeah, we have a song called Character Arc on the other LP that we did. That song, the verses are clean vocals, and like obviously hardcore is like my number one thing, my shit, but like everyone in the band, our tastes are very, very eclectic, and they go way outside of hardcore and punk rock. But we use that in our music, as you can see with the clean vocals. You know what I mean? And I can sing, so why not incorporate that? You know what I mean? These guys behind me, they write really good music, and not all of it is within the normal confines of a hardcore song. And there's no reason to pigeonhole yourself. If we wanted to go out and write the heaviest song ever, we could. That's boring. It's been done. It gets released every other week. You know, if we want to write the fastest song or this or that, like, and that's cool. Like, some people do that and they can do it well. And I would say more times than not, it's not cool and it sucks and it's bad music. But like, no, that's wrong. There's no such thing as bad music. In my opinion, it might be bad music, right? But it just, things get done over and over and over in hardcore, and it's very cyclical. And and if you can go outside of that, why shouldn't you? You know what I mean? This is art and expression, and you know, we're choosing to express ourselves in a way that isn't bound, like I said, within the normal confines of a hardcore song.
Yeah. And do you think that's like, I think it's very easy to be like, I think you can kind of sniff out when a band is coming up and doing a certain sound, because like that is the, you know, super, I guess, trendy heavy subgenre at the time. But I'm having flashbacks to when you were on that other podcast, you were just talking about like how some of the legendary hardcore bands and records that came out were during certain times where it was like a lot of like tougher upbringings. And now, like, not to say that people don't have tough upbringings in 2021 or 2022, but like, you know, like maybe I think the quote that you said was like, people like maybe aren't as like traditionally fucked up, so they're not writing as like fucked up music, if that makes sense.
It sounds like something I'd say.
So yeah, like how have you seen maybe just like the musicianship, or just like even just like the lyrical content of like your traditional hardcore band that you're seeing now, compared to like when you were first getting into it, and like maybe where you see people are diving into things a little bit more that you don't like or you do like? Where does your mind go with that?
I feel like the bar or the standard, what have you, is like on the ground when it comes to writing hardcore music and like writing lyrics for a hardcore song. Like, there's obviously like the basic tenets we all write about, that I've done definitely. Like, you write about like fighting or not liking somebody or life being fucked up, you know what I mean? Like boring stuff like that. But there's different takes on that. There's different spins. Or a straight edge song, you know, all these things have been done a million times. And like I said, they're tenets of a hardcore song. Like there's a million of them, but you can take different takes on that. You know what I mean? You could spin it a certain way. And you don't have to be like some crazy like wordsmith to do it. You know what I mean? I'm certainly not, but I feel like I've written about things in ways that can be perceived differently than how a song with that same subject matter would normally be perceived. You know what I mean? And it also comes from like growth outside of hardcore, growth outside of the band as a person. Like, thank God I'm not writing the same type of stuff I was writing when the band started in 2013 when I
Right.
was a senior in high school.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be that same person or write the same lyrics because that would be insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if like if like lyrics and stuff have gotten any better since when I first started coming to shows to now, because like there's gonna be people that are bad at lyrics and there's gonna be people that are really good at it always, you know, regardless of what's going on. But I definitely think, as you mentioned, I think environment and like outside factors um, affect how people write. Um, and I also don't think people care as much about the lyrics right now.
Hmm.
And that goes for like the people writing them and the people consuming them, so to speak. Like, and, I mean, and that's not necessarily a bad thing either. You know what I mean? Like, I love Bulldoze, one of my favorite bands. My man Kev One was not writing, you know, some beautiful soliloquies. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very Neanderthalish lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
But paired with the music, paired with the ethos, paired with the look of the band, paired with the time, the era, like everything about that band, those lyrics are perfect for that band.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have Indecision, where Tom is, I think, one of the best lyricists in hardcore history. You know what I mean? He wrote a straight edge song that like people might not know it's a straight edge song because it's not like straight edge pride, unity, you know, brotherhood. It's like the song is like people are taking straight edge and they're making it something that it's not supposed to be, and like we need to rethink how we look at straight edge. And like, when has there been a self-aware straight edge song like that before? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Much less in the 90s. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have all the youth crew bands of that era, or you know, in the 80s, whatever, writing straight edge songs that are about brotherhood, unity, blah blah blah, and that shit is great too. You know what I mean? But then Tom takes it, he puts a different spin on it, and you can look at basically a song about the same thing, but not about the same thing. You know, a different spin, a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry about the tirade I've gone on about lyrics, but
no, I think
it's something I feel really strongly about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As someone that writes the lyrics.
Well, definitely a couple points there I want to break down, because I think just empowering people where it's like you don't have to be like fucking like the craziest poet to ever know it as far as like writing lyrics in a hardcore band. Like you can
Sure.
you know, like I think that's a skill that can easily be built up. Obviously some people are going to be really good at it right off the hop, but some people, yeah, like their lyrics evolve over time, and it's less about just like how many curse words can I say to like, oh, like what are the really impactful lines that I can make.
For sure.
But I also think like hardcore genre wise as a whole is like it's very like, I think you need to have variety, so there is that like balancing, so it's not just too much of one thing. You know, you can have, you know, if only the new bands that were coming up that were playing to like whatever the trend was, whether that's like a metalcore thing, a beatdown thing, a thrash thing, whatever it is at the time, you know, that gets dull. And I think being able to have that in the same way of like having lyrics that like, you know, the new Dare record that's going to be coming down the pipe is, you know, probably going to have a lot of like straight edge anthems and things like that. But I do like being able to have that like the other side of the coin, like you were saying, that, you know, can talk about other things in that world versus just like the cheesy straight edge songs. But
Yeah.
you know, the same thing applies for like if someone's writing songs about like police brutality, like there's, you know, almost like one per band at this point, but like I think every band has an opportunity to like dig deep into a certain idea or I guess theme around that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel you. And I think it's especially when people are tackling like more serious issues like police brutality or, you know, any sort of like social issue. I'm sure it's very easy to write about things like that, very like baseline and very shallow and like one-dimensional viewpoint.
Sure.
Because anyone can write a song about that if you're not, you know, fuck the police. It's like that's super easy, but like what's hard about that is like really thinking about that and feeling inspired to write. Because I right now, if I wanted to write 10 songs about police brutality, I could do it, and they would be all so lame. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because right now in this moment, I'm not like my mind isn't there right now. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like personally, when I write lyrics, it's something happens or I think about something or I hear something or something I need to be inspired in the moment. And then I hit the notes app on my phone and I start writing. Even if it's just one line, I save that and then I come back to it later when I feel inspired again. You know what I
100%.
mean? I feel like people are writing because like, oh man, like all this stuff is happening with police and racism and this and that. I need to go write a song about it. And like I said, anyone can do that. But what's difficult, what not everybody can do, is really like look inside of you and like think how you really feel about that and put that into words. And like I said before, you don't need to be Shakespeare to write a good song. You know what I
Right.
mean? If you're passionate about what you're writing and it really does come from a true a true place deep inside of you, that's going to translate. Whether or not the song is going to be good musically doesn't really matter.
Right.
Because there's good songs with bad lyrics and there's bad songs with good lyrics, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like as I've gotten older, lyrics become more and more important to me and I pay attention to them more and more. And I mean, I hope like social unrest or whatever is a driving factor behind a lot of newer bands or new records and songs by bands that are already existing. But I also hope that they write about these things with the conviction that it deserves.
Yeah.
And I also hope that they don't write about these things if they don't have any conviction towards that.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's just as
They're
important.
not like, you know, there's not
don't-
like a boardroom and it's like, okay, let's put the perfect hardcore demo. What are the, you know,
Yeah.
okay, a fuck cop song, like a poser or like, you know, kind of song, and then
Poser.
hardcore pride song at the same time. Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's send it out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
You're
Just
totally
keep
right.
It real. Keep it real.
You're totally right in the sense of like being inspired and being able to like, because that's where the true art like comes into play, right? Like being able to hear something, you think of a different like line. Like I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll just have like an ongoing list where it's like this could either be a hardcore song, a band name, or a lyric. But like, you know, I just think it sounds cool, or it's you know, this thing has inspired me to think about this, or I heard it on the news or in a YouTube video or in a video game I was playing, whatever it is. And then you can kind of build off from there. But yeah,
Definitely.
you're totally right. Like, you know, people should, you know, you should almost be able to reference back to a certain moment in your life of like what you actually wrote that song about. Like, you know, I think that's key for sure.
It all needs to come from passion, whether it's you're playing on stage or whether you're in your room or on the train or in your car writing lyrics to a song, or you know, with your bandmates writing a song or demoing, wherever it is. Like hardcore at the end of the day is just an expression of just unmitigated like animalistic passion, but it doesn't always need to be an aggressive type of passion. You know, it's instinctual, it's animalistic, but it doesn't necessarily need to be aggressive or like forceful. You know what I mean? Like just passion comes to us in many different ways, and when it comes to hardcore, you can channel it in so many different ways. You know what I mean? So I feel like just do, whether I like it or not, like don't worry about what people like. And that's such like a well, yeah, duh, everyone says that, but like really, like I think, and we're all guilty of it, but just wondering like, is this line gonna like sound weird to people? Like maybe I don't want to say all that. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
You really need to just come from like a real deep passionate place. Hardcore is just, it's passion at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
And I think the other thing about like writing lyrics in hardcore is like there's again like there's no, you can only write about like social things or like things where it is related to like you hating someone in the scene or whatever it is. But like, because some people will write songs about like, you know, this is about like my shitty job, or this is about, you know, like is there any weird or like not weird, I don't want to say that, is there any songs that you know lyrically that are just like very out there as far as like topics that are written about?
It's a good question. I've never really thought about that. I mean, I know one that I wrote is about like student loans and like college and stuff like that, because that's what I think I was in my senior year of college when I wrote that song, and I was like stressing about student loans and like really thinking about college. And my little sister is getting closer to an age where she has to start thinking about that. And I don't want her to stress out about it like I did. I don't want any 16, 17, 18-year-old to stress out about college when they're still in school with 14-year-olds, freshmen. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy to me. You know what I mean? As I've become more, there's been more time away from higher education, I realize every day how ridiculous it is, at least in America. But that's a really good question. I'm trying to I mean, there's definitely songs that I know about that friends have written where if you read the lyrics, you're like, I'm not really sure what this is about, but maybe it's this. And then I'll know what it's actually about. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy that you worked it like that. And it'll be like, it's about some super crazy, like obscure thought or something like, oh, I hate this person, but they wrote it in such like a crazy way you would just never know, you know? Damn, I'm trying to think right now. I'm gonna, in the back of my head, the cogs are gonna be turning, thinking about any song like that. And if it happens, if something comes to me, I'm just gonna scream it out to you.
Please. Yeah. And apologies to future Seb if nothing comes up, then you're like listening back to this stuff, you're like, what about these songs? But yeah, like I do think that having the accessibility to be like, like I'm stressed out at school, so I'm gonna write about that and not be like, is that lame? Is that weird to do? Because like that is, I'm sure a ton of people listening or watching this podcast is like, yeah, I've been there. I'm there right now. Or, like I have a kid who's like, I think about that at the same time. So yeah, I think it should be whatever you want when it comes to that.
Sure.
So a couple other questions, Seb, before we start to wrap up the show. I know that you're a big hockey head. You got a couple jerseys behind.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah. So, it's been fun, since following you on Instagram, like you've shared a lot of like stories of you, like, I don't know if you just play street hockey or if you do ice hockey as well. But yeah, I
do it all.
You do it all. Yeah. So, and are you a goalie for that? Like I'm making that assumption off of all the padding that I've seen in some cases.
Naturally, I'm a right D for defense, but there was a very, very good deal on Facebook Marketplace. A very nice old Ukrainian man in Brooklyn, and I talked to my Ukrainian friend, and he said, $500, take the whole thing. And I said, okay. And we're about the same size, so I pulled up. I bought his entire goalie kit, and I was like, yeah, I'm just like some guys in bands, some guys and girls in bands, they like love gear, like pedals and amps, and I don't know dick about shit when it comes to that. You know what I mean? When it comes to hockey, I know about hockey.
Sure.
And I just love gear when it comes to that. So I was like, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't I buy a goalie set when I don't play that position? And then one day, so like every Sunday, I'll play a game out here at 8 a.m. I'll play a game with some guys on Long Island, and then I'll drive to Astoria, Queens, about 30 minutes away. At 11 a.m. we play over there. And then one day, neither game had a goalie, and I was like, well, shit, I got pads, I'll just do it. And I started doing it, and we also
like
play
buying
on Tuesdays.
Goalie gear is like the equivalent of buying like a bass cab for a band.
Yeah,
like...
yeah. It's like I was like the friend that people call like, yo, I'm booking a show and they don't have like anything, like what can we use yours?
Yeah.
So I was like that, and then I took to it pretty easily. So now I would say that I'm the defenseman first / goalie.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Getting my chops up. I might have to play Saturday. We got a playoff game coming up. I'm very nervous about it, but I'm just trying to put myself in a positive headspace when it comes to that. For sure.
What's your What's your team that you play for? What do you guys call it?
So I was playing on a team on like a men's league team on Sundays. They were Century Elevators, and it was a bunch of just like union elevator worker guys. I was like just a guy. I have a couple friends who play, and they needed a guy one day. I played. I did great. And they're like, yo, just join the team. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That season's over. That team is not very good.
Your vertical is pretty much the same as an elevator anyway, so you're fine on that end.
I appreciate that. My main team, the Hoyt Hooligans, we play at Hoyt Playground in Astoria, Queens. We got a team going for Saturdays. We play at a place called Brooklyn Piers. It's right on the river. You can see downtown Manhattan from the rink. It's beautiful.
Dude.
It's incredible. Those are my guys. Like I said, big playoff game on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm nervous. Harry, who plays drums and regulate, is also on the team. One of the guys, he's on the team. One of the guys we play with on Sundays and Tuesdays, one of the original members of 25 to Life, which is pretty ridiculous. My boy Matt Fozzie played in Taking Back Sunday. So,
dude,
Hoyt Hooligans, we got it down, man.
Wow,
we're down. We're down.
Hoyt Hooligans just have so many hardcore homies.
Be on the lookout, dude.
Yeah,
for real. Be on the lookout. We're gonna start a band.
Yeah. So how did the love of hockey just come into play for you? Because like obviously as a Canadian, it's like embedded in you as you grow up. But like,
I'm so jealous.
Yeah. So like, how for you just being in the like for me, it's the equivalent of like the NFL, like going for Sunday Night Football or whatever it is, or like Major League Baseball. But like both, like we have the CFL, which is almost like the diet version of that, and then we have like one baseball team that plays in that division. But like hockey, we have everything. So like again, how did the passion for that was that like early in your life or a little bit later?
No, it was definitely early. I remember when I was still living in Brooklyn, I just was flipping through the channels one day and the Devils were playing the Penguins. And I was like, what the hell is this? This is insane. And I was maybe like 6, 7 years old. And I was like, this is insane. And when I realized they were ice skating, I was like, what the fuck is that? That's crazy. And a friend of my mom's took us to a Devils game one day and I saw it in person. I was like, oh my God, dude. This is like in person. It was like insane to me. I was still like a very young child. And that's when Brodeur was still playing for the Devils. So I got to see like one of like the GOATs in person, which is like insane. And then, so I would say from ages like 6 to 8, I was a Devils fan. I was a big Martin Brodeur fan.
Got you.
And then I met my stepdad, who was from Long Island, born and bred in Long Island. And he's a diehard Islander fan. You know, he was there for the Stanley Cups in the 80s. So, and that's like, he's my stepdad. That's like my guy. That's my dad, right? So he was like, no, you're an Islander fan now. And I was like, sure, I'm an Islander fan now. So then we moved to Long Island from Brooklyn a few years later. And I was just down and like, I just have loved it ever since the first time I saw it. A big like moment for me is I think 2003. I was at an EV Games in the mall with my mom, and I saw NHL 2003 with Calgary's own Jerome McGinley on it, and I was like, "Whoa, that's a black guy! That's crazy!"
Right.
I was like, "They got black motherfuckers in there too. That's cool." And I was like, "That's crazy." I was like, "Mom, you need to buy me this game." I played it, and I played as the Flames all the time because Jerome McGinley, and I didn't really know. Like, I knew Brodeur and McGinley.
Right.
Because Brodeur was like the guy at that time. That's just the name that I remembered. And McGinley, because he was on the cover of the video game. So that was like my guy. That the Flames are definitely my West Coast team. And just him being like just like not the stereotypical looking hockey player was like huge for me because I didn't know any hockey players, but from what I see, it was all white dudes, you know?
Right.
So like as a young kid seeing that, it was like it's just big to me, you know what I mean? And he has like kind of like he doesn't have a hockey name, Jerome Iginla. Like I don't know, everything about him at the time was like perfect for me to see as a kid. And that was that's what made me like want to play. I was like, oh, he can do that. I can play too. So I've been playing since I was a kid, and it's like my favorite shit to do. In terms of like things I like to do is playing shows, playing hockey. Number 3 is just like dropping whatever I have to do to go hang out with friends, but I wouldn't drop whatever I have to do to hang out with friends if I was going to a show or playing hockey.
Yes.
So
everything connects.
I prioritize.
And that's very cool. I remember when you were bringing that up and you said NHL 2003 and I was waiting for you to say hits at the end of it because that was like my favorite like NHL game growing up, just because like it was like 3-on-3 only, just like ridiculous like mechanics. But like it's really cool to see, go to the EB games and be like, whoa. Because like being in Canada, like the whole conversation about like diversity within like the NHL as a whole, like from the players also goes to like the actual announcers. So I think I can't remember his name, but there's a there's an Indian fellow who's like an up and coming like announcer who like
Yeah,
in a largely like white male dominated space, and I think that is so cool to be able to like he has tons of friends from who are like, yo, this is so empowering to see like someone like who's like
of course.
announcing the games and being able to like
It's
articulate things in
huge.
like a professional manner. It's huge.
It's huge. I'm pretty sure he's Sikh. I think he works for a team in the OHL maybe or somewhere in like Toronto, somewhere in like Eastern Canada.
Yeah, I
But
think Toronto is where he's at.
he that's big, man. Like there's gonna be like little like Indian kids, little like brown kids seeing that and be like, holy shit, I could be an announcer one day. I could play hockey one day.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Same thing for like women. Like the Islanders have a few women on the announcing staff now. And I'm hoping like my little sister sees that or her little friends or any girl in Long Island sees that. Like, oh, I want to work for the Islanders to do that.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It really takes like one person that looks like you or that you can relate to that you don't have to try to relate to. It's
Yes.
just there. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? For you to be like, why not me? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's very important. That applies to anything.
Yeah, and it's not like those individuals are like, I'm gonna be the token person to like, have this big change. They like genuinely love the sport or they're into
Mhm.
the music or whatever it is. So it's like it's just really cool to like I think those people in those roles just need to be amplified that much more to like, get more eyes on them than like the 95% of just like white people within, hockey
Yeah,
or, even hardcore for that matter. So I
yeah.
think yeah, I think it's really cool to see kind of that shift.
There's actually a player. I think he's a rookie for the Predators. He just came out. There's a big write up on him. Um, and he's the first openly gay hockey player ever. And
Oh,
like
okay. I
I
think I did
did,
see that. Yeah, yeah.
it's huge. Yeah, I did the mistake of looking at like replies on Twitter to the story and like Facebook,
Mm.
and so many guys just being like, well, who cares? Just play hockey. And on one hand, like they don't know what they're saying because yeah, in a way, who cares? You know what I mean? Why should that matter? But it does matter because he's the first one and he's not the only one.
Hmm.
Statistically speaking, there's more gay players in hockey in the NHL, whatever league. And it's important because there's some gay kid who's playing hockey right now who's 12, 13, however old they are. And they're like, dude, like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know who to talk to about this. Like, this is weird. I hear my teammates talking like this in the locker room, and like that makes me, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
There's a young like gay boy who like feels crazy like being in a hockey locker room because I've been there and it's not a good place sometimes. And like he's in the closet and he's afraid, and he sees one professional athlete come out. That is massive to that kid, dude. I get like emotional thinking about that because like that's really it's gonna be a very impactful thing because there's young gay hockey players or even older gay hockey players right now in the league all over the world who are like, whoa, he did that.
Hmm.
Maybe, and if they don't, sure, that's
Hmm.
fine too. But like, even if it pushes one person to like tell their best friend or their mom, be like, hey, I'm gay.
Yeah.
That's like, that's huge. And like you said, that guy, he's not trying to like be the person, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot to put on your shoulders,
Oh, right.
but
Yeah. And if
an
you
immense
were
weight,
thinking of it that way, like you probably wouldn't have done it, right? Because you're like
right?
thinking about like, oh, how am I going to impact? Like you're probably just doing it as like, I need to do this for myself and myself
Mhm.
alone, and then
Yeah,
the ripple effect just like takes its course at that point.
for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's huge, man. It's. I saw that and I was like, wait, this is not a real art like this. I didn't believe it was real, honestly,
Sure. Yeah.
and thankfully it is. You know what I mean? I wish I remember his name. But yeah, I think he plays for the Predators. He's gonna do his first like pro camp this summer. Hopefully, be in the league next year. And yeah, good for
Yeah,
him.
I think like a lot of things like that are kind of exposing that it can't just be like, like, oh, like, well, this is like what white people do, or like people who are this skin color are into this stuff, or like if this is your sexual orientation, you do this. It's like really just actually blending everything, and it's really exposing the people that don't like that blending to the larger audience, right? Like they're like,
Yes.
oh, well, like that's affecting our sport or that's affecting our culture. It's like, but like, if anything, in a more positive way, you're bringing more people into like what the what you're all into, and like you said, it all boils down to like you know all being into hockey, all being into hardcore, like whatever it is.
Yeah. And there's obviously these people that are like, well, I'm not gonna watch their games. I'm not gonna watch. I'm gonna boycott the NHL, bitch. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're gonna watch hockey. Shut up.
Mhm.
You're gonna watch. Oh, they're kneeling for the anthem. I'm not watching the NFL. Shut up, dummy. Yes,
Yeah.
you're gonna be on your couch every Sunday with crumbs on your chest, on your belly from eating chips, enjoying the game like everybody else.
Mhm.
Like, shut up. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna stop watching, and other people, guess what? They're gonna start.
Yes.
Like I said, there's gonna be some gay dude who never cared about hockey, and they're gonna be like, "Whoa, this is a gay hockey player. I want to know what that's about," and they're gonna get into it.
Yes.
And the dummy who's on Facebook being like, "I can't, not in my sport," is gonna keep watching it. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, shut up, get over
Yeah.
yourself. Are you a Flames fan?
So I grew up in Winnipeg, and
okay.
so I was in a very weird pocket where it's like I was just getting into hockey as the Jets were leaving, and then like kind of had this resurgence when they came back. So since moving here almost 4 years ago now, it's not been like this thing where, or like a pressure of like I need to cheer for them because like the Jets are my team, and I feel like I'm indebted to them because they were, gone for so long and then came back. So yeah.
So what did you do when they weren't around?
So like our I guess it would be yeah. So
Like a
we had
WHL team?
it was the AHL. So we had the Manitoba Moose. So like Manitoba's like
Oh,
our
okay, yeah,
province or
yeah. I
state.
know the Moose.
Yeah, yeah. We would like when the Jets came back and they were like, "This is what the logo's like." I'm like, "Man, the Manitoba Moose logo is so much cooler because it's like this
Oh, that's a
big old
great,
moose
yes.
head and like holding
It's
a
awesome.
hockey stick." And what's crazy is that like when they didn't bring in like a new mascot, it was just like I think it was like Mickey Moose, and then he's wearing a Jets like jersey. Like it makes no
See,
sense.
it's funny you say that because where the Islanders, but they play like 5 minutes up the road from me, there was an arena football team named the Long Island or the New York Dragons,
Oh,
and
okay.
their mascot was just a dragon, and the Islanders didn't have a mascot. So since they shared, the same place, it was just Sparky the Dragon was for the arena football team, and for the Islanders, the Arena Football League, as far as I know, has like dissolved. It doesn't exist.
Right.
And the Islanders are like, well, shit, you got the dragon. So like, so the Islanders mascot is just a dragon
Yeah.
with an Islanders jersey on.
It was, which you're like, doesn't really make sense. I don't understand the lore there, but
It
we'll
makes
just
no sense, but it's cool.
it's just like a
'cause it doesn't make
dragon
sense.
on an island. It's the Dragon's Island.
I don't know. It's mythical. I don't know. I don't get it, but I like it.
Who is your favorite mascot in the NHL?
I won't say Sparky because I'm biased. I actually work for the team, so I know the real identity of Sparky the Dragon.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely not Gritty. I hate Gritty because I hate the Flyers, and Gritty's whole thing was like, "Oh, I'm weird," and like shut up. I hate Gritty, dude. I feel very strongly about Gritty Spencer.
Yes.
I like the Lion, the King's Lion. He's pretty funny. You should go on YouTube and look up. I don't know what his name is, but look up King's mascot highlights because he does some really funny shit.
Okay.
Who else? I feel like hockey is not a sport with like a lot of iconic mascots. Am I wrong?
I'm trying to think because
you're Canadian. You guys probably have some cool mascots up there. You have more teams. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Maybe I should. I'll pull it up. I'll search top NHL mascots and see what Google tells us. Well, there's like SJ Sharky from San Jose, big old shark head.
Okay, yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know Toronto is just a polar bear, just called Carlton. Carlton the bear.
Does Pittsburgh have just like a big penguin? I would assume
that's
so.
a good question. I haven't seen them come up there. The Bruins just have Blades the Bruin, which is like a bear, it looks like. Named
Right.
Blades, which is pretty sick. Nash from Nashville. It's like a big old predator. That actually looks like a well-designed thing. But
Here's the thing though about all these animals, all of these creatures are flightless, whereas Sparky the Dragon, he can fly.
yeah.
And it's not even confirmed that he even exists in real life. So he's like maybe make believe, and that's dope. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he breathes fire. His tail is a hockey stick. So I'm just trying to make a case for my boy.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I know, you mentioned the Penguins. Yeah, their mascot is called Iceberg, which is like a very funny looking penguin for that matter. But you're probably right. Like, there's maybe not as many good ones, but yeah, half the time they don't even make sense as far as what they represent.
They don't. It's just by circumstance.
Um,
Dude, I wish I grew up in Canada, man.
what?
I really do. Like I love New York. I love being from New York. I can't go 30 minutes without telling someone that I'm from New York. But as far as
It's
like
part of your obligation as far as like
yeah,
growing up from there.
it's like a
Yeah.
personality trait, honestly, at this point. But I just hockey is like such a big part of my life, obviously. But I feel like if I grew up in Canada, like somehow it would be even more so a bigger part of my life because like
Oh,
that's
for
what
sure.
you guys do up there.
Yeah.
And I just, dude, oh my god, dude, hockey is so sick. Canada is awesome. I've only been to, I played a show in Toronto and I played in Montreal 2 or 3 times, and then I was in BC once with my family. I have not gone anywhere else,
All
but
right.
I really want to go up to like, I want to go up to like Newfoundland or whatever.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know
some
why. I
East
just
Coast
do.
shit. Let's go.
I want to go to Ottawa real bad. I definitely want to go to Vancouver. I heard Calgary is an abysmal place. I heard it is a depressing place.
Well, okay. I will challenge you on that,
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
There's so I grew up in Winnipeg, which is like the dead center of Canada, and that is like terrain-wise just like prairies. Like it's flat. Like the whole joke is like if someone stole your wallet, you would like watch them steal it for like a couple hours. Like they would just be running away from you, just watch them. But
Right.
Calgary is like such a meeting place where it's like you're just starting to get into the mountains. So I've kind of compared it to like terrain wise being kind of like in like Salt Lake City, like you're like that
Okay.
close to them.
That's cool.
But yeah, Calgary's got like a ton of really like good food scene, lots of like good I guess flow as far as like public and not private transit, but you know what I'm saying, like highways and then just like getting around on the rail.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we just I feel like there is definitely a little bit of you didn't have a super good experience on that first Regulate tour in Texas, but like there's definitely like kind of a southern kind of Texas vibe, or at least for some people.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we have this thing that happens every year called the Stampede, which is like a big old rodeo that is like
Christ.
a week long. So we try to dodge that, but some people embrace it and bring out the cowboy hat. So it's a little funny that way.
How far are you from Vancouver?
So we're like a 12-hour drive, but it's like you're going through the mountains, right? So
Shit, dude. For me, so just based off like hockey alone, I always thought Vancouver, like I always thought the Canucks, the Oilers, and the Flames all were like in the same little, like how the Islanders, Devils, and Rangers are like in the same niche.
yeah.
So you kind of just blew my mind telling me that Calgary is 12 hours from Vancouver. What the hell? That's insane.
Granted, if you're driving from Calgary up to Edmonton, where the Oilers play, that's like 2.5 hours. So they're like a lot closer. But I think that's another weird thing too, is like coming into this province where there is such a like an ongoing beef between like Calgary, like the Oilers and the Flames. Like it's like so like again, like it's embedded in you if you're Canadian to love hockey, and then if you're from Alberta, it's embedded in you that you cheer for like the team that in the city that you're raised from. So
Battle of Alberta, man.
Yeah, straight up.
So Vancouver is BC, right?
Yes, you're.
And how? So is Vancouver also like 12 hours away from Edmonton?
It's more because like Calgary and Vancouver are like essentially on the same. I'm gonna like
axis.
Yeah, axis, whatever it is. So like
Lateral.
Edmonton being north, it would be like you would have to drive down to Calgary and then go to Vancouver. So you're adding an extra couple hours. So,
jeez, man, that's crazy.
yeah. I did have one more hockey related question before we officially wrap this up. So,
Go for it.
it seems in hardcore, every band will do some kind of like rip of some kind of like local, sports team or things like that. What is your personal favorite that you've seen? Doesn't need to be in hockey specifically, but it could be anything for that matter.
So Vision of Disorder from over here, from literally town over, they did a couple basketball jerseys back in the day, and one of them is like Knicks colors.
Oh,
but
okay.
they also did a hoodie, which is straight up just like a black hoodie, and then the Islanders logo, but instead of New York Islanders, it says Vision of Disorder. Like no work put into it whatsoever. I think that's pretty cool. The only person I know that owns that is my friend Dan, who sings in King 9. He owns that. What other good rips are there? Oh, Foundation did like an Oregon Ducks rip.
Oh, okay. That's
very
cool.
random. I feel like the story behind that is like they were, so when Thomas wrote that song Never Stops Raining, they were like in Oregon, and I guess it was just raining a lot, and that inspired him to write some song about whatever it is about. And yeah, they did an Oregon Ducks rip, where it's just like the duck and it says Foundation. I think that's cool because it's not often you see a college team represented in hardcore.
Definitely not. Usually it's gotta be something national. So
something else, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
King 9 also did a Mets baseball jersey rip. Marauder has a really good New York Mets baseball rip. I have it in a size small. I bought it in 2011.
So it's like a crop top at this point for you.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Regulate, we're due. We've done a couple soccer jerseys, but they haven't been like rips. They just been like inspired by different things. We actually, I put this is the Andean condor, which is like the native bird of Colombia. I put that in the crest of the Regulate soccer jersey we made. I actually did a straight rip of this, like this logo for a Regulate shirt, because I love this soda so much. And I love being Colombian so much. And but yeah, I think we're due for a hockey jersey. Probably when they make probably just friends and family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because those shirts are expensive.
Yes. It's an investment at that point.
Oh, of course. Life of Agony hockey jerseys. Huge, obviously. Historical piece of merchandise. I'm looking at my closet right now thinking what? I don't know. I remember what was it, blistered soccer jerseys were like a hot item for a while. That was a thing. But yeah, Regulate is definitely due for some hockey jerseys.
Yeah.
The thing is that Harry, he's a Capitals fan. So we can't do Islanders colors, and I'm definitely not going to do Capitals colors.
Yeah, there's no way.
We're going to have to work. My go-to is usually just red, yellow, and blue Colombian colors for everything pretty much, or blue and orange when I'm feeling like doing other stuff. So
yeah,
hockey jerseys one day, maybe, probably not.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Yeah,
down the line.
Yeah, I'm always curious on that because, and obviously I'm biased to this, but I think the Comeback Kid Winnipeg Jets rip logo that they did on that's literally classic. Every piece of merch that you can imagine. I think that's classic. That shit sells like hotcakes. So yeah, classic for sure. But
good.
Yeah, I'm hoping more bands do some more stuff and maybe go a little more into the nicher parts of doing college, team rips or things like that. I think that would mean a lot to them.
You know what? I would buy a Manitoba Moose rip of any band.
Okay.
Over there. You know what I mean?
I'll have to.
That'd be awesome.
I'll have to reach out to some of the bands from them to see if they would be interested.
Talk to your peoples, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Calgary Hitmen. How has no one done a Calgary Hitman rip?
There actually has. So there's a band from here called Mortality Rate that did a rip.
Oh yeah. Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that there's shirts and hoodies of that. So it looks awesome because he's got the ski mask and all that. I'm glad. Yeah.
Dude, it's the sickest. I'm like a hockey jersey collector of sorts, I guess. And I've been trying to get a good Hitman jersey for so long. Hey, if you're watching this, any of my Calgary Canadian people, if you got a Hitman jersey, connect, hit me up on Instagram. because I'm trying to lock that down for real.
Yeah, yeah. Please,
Yeah, that's
any
sick.
of the mutual Calgary friends, let's get Seb hooked up to complete the
Please do.
collection.
Please do.
Dude, this has been super fun. The last question that I ask every guest is a favorite mosh story that they would like to share. So it could literally be anything that's the first to your mind. Could be something
That's
that you
awesome.
did, happened to you, gruesome, funny, brutal, whatever's the first thing to your head.
It's a good story, or it's a good question
Oh, okay.
because it's funny. I feel like people think it's like corny to talk about moshing, and like in some ways it is, but also it's just cool.
Yes.
I don't know, it's cool.
Because again, like we were saying before, you can take that in so many different ways, right? Like some people
is
want to, I almost died in this moment. Some people are like, yo, I saw this and it was just moving in ways. So I know that you got multiples. So if you want to
have a
bring,
lot, man.
two to the table, that's cool too.
Okay, so in 2013, I think I broke my arm during Suburban Scum at This Is Hardcore, and I was a young man, and I was still very much under the watchful eye of my mother, and she was not a fan of my hardcore habits, any of them, going to shows, listening to it, and none of it.
Mhm.
So I broke my arm. I went to the hospital. They put me in a cast, in like a sling, whatever. And it was the first day of This Is Hardcore.
Mhm.
And I wasn't about to go home. Like, there's 3 more days of this shit. What are you talking about? I'm staying, right?
Yeah.
So I stay. I don't tell her. I think until the last day I didn't tell her, because like I'm trying to have a good time. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to have my mom blowing up my phone. So I think I told her the last day, and I was like, "Hey mom, like I broke my arm. I was like skateboarding. There's this place called Love Park, and I was skating, and and I fell and I broke my arm. Yo, I don't skate. I definitely don't skateboard. But like that sounded a lot better than being like, I broke my arm just like kind of rhythmically flailing on some dude's head.
Right.
Some dude with apparently a hard head.
Mhm.
I broke my arm on it. My frail little body. It was before I started lifting the weights, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I didn't have much meat on my bones. So she was like, wow, well, I'm mad. So she was mad about that. So that's one good story. I just showed up in a sling and my mom was bummed. She was very mad at me. Let me try to think of like a cooler one. You know what? There's not really like, I guess, one that sticks in mind, but I like when I'm watching a band and I see a friend who normally doesn't dance for bands or like doesn't really participate. You know what I mean? They're kind of just chilling, and I see them and I'm like, dude, I could run through a wall when I see an unexpected face in a mosh pit, dude. Because it's just like, because in my head it's like, this person never does this, and whatever music this band is playing right now is like making them freak out in their head so bad that they need to jump off the stage, that they need to like just get in the pit. So I think that's awesome. My friend Drew Castleberry, he doesn't mosh very much, but when he does, it's a sight to see. Historical mosher. Shouts out to my friend Drew. Shouts out to Lindenhurst, Sound Majority Neglect. What else? Sometimes I'll text friends who like I speak to every now and then. I'll be like, yo, when's the last time you moshed? When's the last time you did a spin kick? Just because I really like am curious about that. I think the last one I asked,
it's a mosh check. Like, hey, when is the last time?
Because like there's people who I've never seen mosh, so I'm like curious. And like my friend Daniel, he plays drums in Turnstile. He's like a big buff dude. Like you would think he'd be in every pit, but like just because he's got weight to throw around, I haven't really seen him in any pits. And I asked him. I think he told me the last time he moshed was like during TUI, like a long time ago, and like that's all I needed to know. Like I'm just curious, when's the last time you did a spin kick?
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think about these things.
Yeah.
It's our dance, dude. If hardcore is our culture, our community, our expressive dance is just moshing. You know what I mean? It's a part of who we are.
So to end the episode, if you've made it this far, whether you're watching or listening, comment below when's the last time you moshed, the show,
I want
the style. We both want to know.
Hit us up. Especially it's been a year since a lot of people have been shows, you know what I mean?
Want to know if it's yes, 100%. But Seb, this has been really, really fun. All your bands' info and your shit will be in the description and the show notes and all that good shit. But if there's anything you want to end on, the floor is yours for whatever you got.
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Of course.
Like I told you, I've been waiting to get the DM because like I respect what you do. I feel like it's very well put together. You do your homework when you interview. It's easy to just get someone on here and be like, well, how'd you get into hardcore? And then you just kind of ramble, both of you. So I like that you like put work into it. You know what I mean? I can tell that you care. That makes me care even more. You know what I mean?
Of course, man.
So again, I appreciate you having me on. Shouts out to Winnipeg. Shouts out to Calgary. Black Power, Brown Pride, Indigenous Resistance, Liberate Palestine, 48. Thank you.
Love it. Yeah. And, if there's any major takeaway for myself in this episode is we need to get Regulate through Western Canada ASAP. I'm really excited for new recordings once that eventually comes down the pipe. And thanks for coming on. We'll definitely do this again in the near future.
Yes, sir.